Hello. Do we have sound? This is like this every stream. I don't know if you've ever watched me before, but I'm always trying to figure out if I'm streaming or not. I think we're good. All right, sweet. Sound good? Comment section, thumbs up, thumbs down. Let me know if I have sound. So today we are going to be talking about my next stop motion film. So this stop motion film is actually not like my last one. So I did Indomation, which was let's see here, which was the stop motion film that featured this guy right here. This was painted by Ted Brothers. I don't know if you can see this right there. Ooh, right there. And that was a 5.5 minute film. This next one that I'm working on is gonna clock in about 50 seconds. So that's what I'm doing right here. It's going to feature another toy. And I like animating with toys because I can typically find some toys that are fairly well articulated, and so that makes my job easier as an animator. And I also like the three-dimensional aspect of that. And when I say three-dimensional, I mean instead of filming on something like this is a multi-plane. Hold on, see if I can. Instead of filming on something like this, it's a multi-plane camera angle. And the way this works, right? I'm typically like, hold on, see if I can show you what I'm doing. I typically work right here, and then we have a camera set up right there, and then it points down, and then there's paper and stuff on this from my last stream, but this is glass, so you can shoot through the glass and stuff. This belongs here. So let's see here. I'm trying to get this bag. Let's go back here. Also, sorry, I think I'm getting a cold, so I might be a little sniffly here. So, like I said, I am working on another stop-motion film, a short film, like I said, about 50 seconds long. Only six angles. I storyboarded the whole thing out. And so this stream is just talking about that. I wanted to just have like a casual sit down and talk. Most of the time, whenever I'm doing a stream, I'm busy sketching or I'm animating or something, so I can't be super engaged with the audience. And so while we only have 5 people live right now, I will try to engage with all 5 of you. So feel free to say anything, chat away, ask questions. And I guess right now I can kind of show you what I'm doing. So I'm gonna give you an example. You can see the set right here. Let me just show you kind of what I'm doing first. Let's see if this works. Check. Okay, so you should still be able to hear me. This is a test animation I did of the Mandalorian. So this is the Black Series Mandalorian character, and I've added in the sand and the 2 suns in the background. Now I lit the entire scene for those suns to appear, to look like they're there, to make it a little bit better. But yeah, they're not there, and I can kind of show you a little bit of how I did that. I'm gonna go back to here. So let me show you a little bit more of the actual set. So that's the set right there. I've got the Mandalorian character kind of right here. So you should hopefully be able to see the dude. Hold on. So this is the Black Series character, 6 inches high, fairly articulate. Again, that's why I use a lot of the characters. Should be able to do a lot of. Let's see here. I don't know what the good lighting is. I wonder if this one would be better. Can you see this? I don't know. Anyway, this is the character I'll use. You'll see the articulation when I do the video, right? And so I can kind of give you a little bit of a tour. Or first off, is there any questions that we have? I know one of the things that somebody had asked me earlier is what camera am I using? Yeah, hey, look at that. Epic City Builders. What megapixel is your stop motion camera? So the one that I'm using now is a EOS Rebel T4i. It is an old camera. I would never use it for anything other than stop motion. And the reason is that I'm not even sure what the megapixel is. This is probably 16 megapixels. My iPhone is 32 but won't connect to Dragonframe. So your phone, Epic City Builders, your Dragonframe should be able to connect with most phones. I'm going to switch the cameras here. Dragonframe should be able to connect with most phones. I know that any iPhone has worked in the past. At least you said 32 megapixels. I don't know if that's an iPhone. That doesn't sound like an iPhone. What phone do you have? Let me know in the comments. Android. No, I mean, I've seen it work with Android, and I have a class that I'm teaching next semester, and some of the students have Android phones, and I know that they will work. Samsung A70. Huh, so you're saying that doesn't work? Well, one thing you can do, you can maybe try to contact Dragonframe. Their customer support is fairly decent, so that might be in the works. I'm not for sure. Also, I know Android, they're not as because there's a lot more variety of phones than the iOS. It's harder to keep up as far as like allowing software to work with every single Android phone. So something to think about. What you can do if you are wanting to shoot on the cheap side and you want to use a phone just because it's more mobile, you can go out and probably buy a really cheap iPhone, like a 5C or a what would be after that, a 6 or 7 for relatively cheap. And I'm not for sure if the iPod Touches work with Dragonframe. They might. I'm not for sure. But that's an option. But the camera that I have right now is the T4i. The reason I'm having to use this one is because I need macro shots for this shot, for a lot of these shots. Actually, there's 6 shots that I am shooting, and let's see here, like the one that I showed at the beginning, this one right here, it is, why isn't that playing? This is shot with the 50 millimeter on a 5D Mark III. Why isn't that playing? That's annoying. And so it's a fairly wider field of view than what this, oh actually, hold on. It is seemingly a wider field of view because I'm able to focus. I'm not as, goodness gracious, Mason. This is a 60 millimeter macro. I can get closer, so it's a narrower field of view, but I'm also getting closer to the subject. So I can get seemingly more wide shots with the 50 mil on a 5D Mark III. That's a very complicated answer for what camera we're using. T4i, Canon T4i. I think it's a 16 megapixel sensor, which is I'll still be able to make a 4K video from a 16 megapixel sensor. And let me know if that's confusing or not. I know a lot of people get confused as far as why my camera doesn't shoot 4K or 6K or 8K. I mean, you could presumably shoot, I think 6K with this, because again, you're not shooting video in stop motion. You're shooting stills, and the stills are going to be naturally a much higher resolution than whatever the camera is capable of with its video capabilities. And so you can use that to your advantage in post-production by now you suddenly have all this image data and information that you can push in, crop in, and do all these things with that are super helpful. I'm going to look at the comments. Yeah, it gives you help. The support page was severely outdated, so maybe it'll work. I have the iPhone SE with 12 megapixel. Hey, so iPhone SE, that'll work. That'll definitely work, so you can use that. Hi, Max Fun. Clear as mud. I get the gist of it, clear as mud, yeah. Glad that was helpful. So yeah, let's talk more about this stop motion short that I'm doing. Again, I am trying to time it in the release of The Mandalorian. Mandalorian comes out tomorrow, at least at the time I'm filming this. This is November 11th. November 12th is Disney Plus, which I'm super excited about. And so I ordered this Mandalorian figure. I was drawn to it because, one, I think this is like a super cool looking figure. Let's see if I can get a better shot of it. I'm going to go back to the one camera here. So this is this is the scene. This is a still from the animations that I'm doing. Again, this was a test. And it just looks super cool to me. And I wanted to recreate what I've already seen for some of the promotional materials for The Mandalorian. And so that's one of the reasons why I went with that. I also wanted to scale back. A lot of the times whenever I work on projects like Indomation, like Unbound, which is a recently paused or put on hiatus short film that I've been working on for like 9 months, I get really ambitious and overambitious, and the scope of the project often is a lot bigger than I can manage on my own. And so that's bad. That's good and bad. It's good that I desire to do big and good things. It's not good that I often go too far with my expectations. So the point of this, 50 seconds, 6 shots, 6 angles to tell a story, one set, and my hope is that I'd be able to animate this in 2 weeks. Not a big deal. I might be able to do it sooner than that, but I just wanted to take my time with each of the scenes and make it super smooth, make it look really slick. So that's the goal with the Mandalorian stop motion project. Hoping to release it December 2nd, maybe sooner if I can, not for sure. So be looking out for that. Hopefully that'll be a pretty cool piece of content. So let's look at the set. So here's the set. Let's see. I'm going to change the angle so I can pick this up. So again, we got 3 main lights. This one right here, just to diffuse some light at the front. We got this one back there as a rim light, and again, he's standing right here for the most part. And the idea, let's see if we can. So the idea is that he's right here on this desert scene, and that light right there is serving as rim light that will basically end up being the point of it is that there's a sun right here shining off onto his side. So if we go back and look at this shot right here, if you look at his right side of his whole body and helmet, you have that sun on the left side of the frame, presumably shining and hitting off that, and it's not on his left side. So that's the purpose of that. And 1 second. Let's see here. Beans for 20. The Mandalorian is going to be the most downloaded piracy content web tomorrow. That is very true. It probably will be. That's probably true. So, Epic City Builders, what do you use for the light filters? I heard shower curtains work well. Semi-clear. Light filters. Are you talking about diffusing light? Now let me know if that's what you mean by that. What these are, these come naturally with the Super 5s, the Interfit Super 5s, and they just have like little diffusers that come on and off. I don't know if I'd use shower curtains. Bed sheets might be something if you're trying to DIY some lights. I've heard of using white bed sheets. Shower curtains might be a little bit too reflective, but I don't know. Not for sure. And I've got this Ari. Let's see here. I've got this Ari 300 shining through a piece of foam board that I've cut to make the light just right. And again, the reason that I have this light like that cut off is because after I shoot all this, I'm going to go back and with visual effects add in 2 suns, a sun right here and then a sun right here. And again, to get an idea of why I'm lighting like that, check out this shot, right? This should be I'm gonna go 1 second. This might screw up the stream for a second. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can figure out why this is not working. There we go. So, and again, this is a really rough animation. I just wanted to see what it would look like with the cape moving. We can talk about the cape in a second. That's something that's a little bit different. So right now, if you look at the cape that the character came with, I'm gonna switch back to here. If you look at the cape that the character came with, it's this guy right here, and it's plastic. It doesn't. You're not gonna be able to animate it. It looks really great, but you're not able to animate it. So, and I definitely wanted to be able to animate the cape because that's been a huge visual that's gone alongside the Mandalorian. So I wanted to replicate that because that's really part of the marketing and the PR push, and the Mandalorian's image is that waving cape in the desert. So with this character, what I've done, and I wonder if it's here. I have got construction paper. I wonder what the best way is to show this. Let's see here. So I've got construction paper on one side, and then on the other, I've glued aluminum. I'm going to pull this apart. This is just regular aluminum foil, right? And so the great thing about aluminum is that you can bend it and shape it, and it's got really good memory, which is the term used to describe how an object will keep its shape once you release it. So it's got good memory, and it's going to stay whatever shape you put it. So this is going to be really great for animating the cape. And because this is really shiny and reflective, I only need one side of it to really look like kind of like this soft material. If you look at this is going to, even when it's painted black, it's still reflective, which is not really it's not really how a cape or cloth material would look. So hopefully going back here, you can give it another look at the cape specifically. And so you can see on the edges there some of the metal wiring that's showing up. And that's okay. That was just a test shot. I've actually got a new cape that I've cut and made, and all it's ready to do is it's ready to be attached to the Mandalorian. And so here's the actual cape that will be used in the film. Let's see if you can. And it's not cut to scale yet, but that is. I'll be able to move it and shape it, and I don't want to mess with it as much because it'll only last so long. But this will go on the back of the character like that and wave. So that's the point. That's what I'm doing with that. Let's see here. What other questions we got? Talking about this material that I've made. Let's see here. Where's that Mandalorian at? So if you look, this is just a piece of wood, and I have put wood glue down on this big 3/4 inch piece of plywood, and then I got play sand, and then spread it out over the glue, and then I just brush the excess away after it moves. And so for all the shots, most of the time my camera is going to be set up pretty low. Most of my shots, the camera's going to be set up fairly low, like right there, and so the foreground is going to be largely out of focus. but I found that it looks really good on all my test shots and shots that I've done. I wonder if I can. No, I won't show that yet. I was gonna say I can show you the storyboards. I went and did a kind of a previs of what the entire thing would look like without it being animated, but just taking photos as they like kind of in the frames, how I'll set each of them up, and they've all looked really good. This this table with the sand and the glue looks really well, and I will be using some of these. You can see a stormtrooper helmet right there. I'll be using that stormtrooper helmet to well, you know what, just check out the film, you'll see what I'm doing with it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm trying to think what other things we can talk about. Well, I can't wait for your work in the Disney Mandalorian show. Yeah, let's see here. Rodimus Prime 29. Yeah, I can't wait for the Mandalorian either. In fact, I'm going to finish the last episode of Season 8 of Game of Thrones tonight with my wife. And then tomorrow, we start the Mandalorian. If I'm not out here animating. So we'll see about that. One thing that I have done also recently, let's see here. If you watched the last stream, I was streaming me making a wooden version of this camera. I don't know if you can see it. And that was pretty cool. Actually, stay right here 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, talking about last week's stream, again, I was sketching a design for making a toy wooden version of this for my daughter for Christmas, and here's the final product. So, tell me what you think. It's pretty cool, right? So you can watch me. I've got a YouTube video coming out showing how I made this exactly, but it's got, let's see here. I don't know what's a good view. It spins. This spins right there. We've got a shutter dial right there. This spins, and you can look through it. So, should be a cute, fun little toy. Video should be fun to watch. Me making this out of just straight up wood. And if you want to, you can watch last week's live stream of me designing this, because this looks pretty accurate to what the design was, and it was a lot of fun to make. So, but I just wanted to show that on here. Let's see here. I got another comment. What is the longest you spent on one photo shoot, and how much do you spend on each? So you said photo shoot. Are you talking about stop motion, which is what this is, or are you talking about a photo shoot? Because I am a photographer by trade, and so photo shoot conjures me going out with a client and taking photos, portraits of a family or a group of people, or like headshots. So I don't know what that means with stop motion. The longest I've ever spent on a project would be my Indomation short film movie, and I spent I think it was 97 actually hours of animating, just at the set, animating this character right here. That was probably the longest time I've spent animating, but with that there was also about 3 months of set building and a month of storyboarding and previs and stuff like that. I have recently ceased production on a short film that I spent the last 9 months working on, which that's kind of depressing because I worked really hard on it, and I just wasn't able to meet the deadline that I set for myself, and the project just keep dragging on and on and on. And so the best thing, I had to kind of cut my losses on it, which is a super big bummer. I'll be talking about that later in a different video. So that was probably the longest I've worked on a project. The sad part, like I said, I didn't finish the project, so it's like kind of a waste of 9 months. Not really. There's plenty of stuff that you learn whenever you fail on stuff. But this is going to be relatively short. Again, 50-second video. 50-second animation, 6 shots. I'll be able to do it. I'll be able to animate it in 2 weeks. My time. That's not 2 weeks of straight animation. That's 2 weeks where I get to spend about 3 or 4 days of 3 or 4 evenings of that week animating for 4 or 5 hours. So, not a ton of time commitment to that. It's just for me in my life right now, I have to be consistent about blocking off chunks of my time to do that animation. Let's see here. You mean animation? Cool. Well, then I answered your question. That's great. Let's see here. What else? Let's see here. I'm trying to think. Is there any other questions you guys might have? I'll give it a minute. Let's see here. Anything that I can do right here. See part of the lighting. I wonder if this will show up. I absolutely love the Indomation video. Are you a one-man team? Crazy Horse 90. I am a one-man team. Well, that's not absolutely true. It's practically I'm a one-man team. Although with Indomation, the biggest help that I got with Indomation, outside of my wife giving me the time to animate and be out and work out in the garage like I am right now. Beyond that, a woman that I work with, one of my coworkers, Amy, she painted every single set. And there was I think there was 8 separate sets, all pretty detailed and intricate, and she was able to bring those to life and do her own thing with them. And she did that at a point whenever I was about ready to crack on that project, because it was just taking forever, like every stop motion project does. And doing it by yourself, it's kind of overwhelming, because you have to build the sets, you have to figure out how to animate the characters, you have to figure out how you're going to rig the characters to the sets. You have to make sure that the story is going to work, and you have to do all that before you actually do any of the animating. And so I got to the point where I built all the sets, I had the characters, but I was a little bit exhausted in the prospect of having to paint every single set and everything in the sets. It was a little bit overwhelming, especially since painting isn't my forte and I also didn't have the supplies. Amy stepped in, was the hero, MVP of the project, and painted all my sets, got them back to me. I think within a month, or it's probably less than that actually, and yeah, kind of saved the film a little bit, and I was able to carry on and animate. So I am a one-man team as far as my animation stuff goes. This last project that I work on that I mentioned earlier that I had quit was I had somebody helping me. I had a character designer. So here's one of my characters for that film. Let's see, I'm gonna move the camera really fast right here. Here's one of the characters for that film. Oh no. And you can see that the character is made out of paper. Pretty intricate design. And I didn't do that. So like I said, I'm not very good at actually like drawing or painting or sketching or anything like that. But I do have a friend that's great at it. His name is Michael, and Michael was able to design the 3 main characters, and he was planning on designing a couple of in that short film. There's going to be a dragon, there's going to be a kraken, there's prehistoric creatures, monkeys and stuff. So there's a whole bunch of animals and creatures that he was going to do, but I ended up, like I said, stopping that project before he did any of the animals or the monsters. We'll revisit that at some point, but that one I was trying to assemble more of a team so it wasn't all me. And that's a good question, the one-man team question, because I found it's hard to have the quality of videos that I want and it to be as successful as I want it to be when it's just me doing all of it. This project right here, I think, is probably the best size and scale and scope of a project for it to be successful and have just me working on it, because it's a lot more manageable. Again, instead of a 5 or 6 minute short or even a 3 minute short, it's one set, one character for the most part, simple lighting, and then the character's already built. It's just about fast. I just need to fasten him to the set. So that's much more manageable for me to do by myself. than Indomation was and Unbound was. So it's I look forward to the time whenever I have my own team, whenever I can collaborate more closely with people, and be able to like divvy up roles and responsibilities with my projects, because that'll, I think, up the game a lot and allow me to do more intricate and more highly produced and polished storytelling. Good question. Let's see here. Is this your job or your hobby? So Crazy Horse asks, is this your job or your hobby? This is a little bit of this, a little bit of that. If you look on my channel, I have a video. One's called OU Texas Stop Motion, and the other one is like Happy Holiday Stop Motion. And those are two stop motion videos that I've done for the university that I work for. And so at that time, it was my job to animate. Right now, when you see me here in my garage working on Star Wars or Jurassic Park stuff, this is my hobby. But my hope and my dream is that I continue doing this to a degree where people will pay me to do it. So that's the hope, and I'm working on that. Hopefully, with next year, I'll get a few more paying clients, and then I'll just slowly build up from that. So, but the way you do that, from my understanding, the way that happens is by, one, doing the thing that I love doing, which is staying out here in my freezing cold garage, or often my very hot garage, and animating stories that I'm passionate about or that I think are a lot of fun. And so hopefully, by focusing on things that I really enjoy and love doing, my passion and my desire to do those things shows through the actual stories. I think it does in Indomation. I had such a fun time making that, and I think it's a really fun film, and I'm really proud of it because it was my film, and I got to do whatever I wanted, and there's nothing holding me back but myself on that. So, to answer your question, it's sometimes my job. So at the university again that I work for in the marketing department, I'm a filmmaker, do marketing videos and stuff. Within that, sometimes I'm able to squeeze in occasional stop motion animation projects if we can justify it. But in the spare time, it's a hobby with intentions and hopes and aspirations of going further in the future. From your viral video, did you not get recognized, or did someone get in contact with you for your amazing skill and talent? You should enter a film festival. Did somebody get, so you said viral video, I guess so. It's Innovation right now has like 2.6 million views, which is great. I can't believe it has that. I can't believe that I have almost 25,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching. That was fun. And someone get in contact with you. I had a few people reach out to me. Other filmmakers, some musicians, some composers, and then I had a handful of different blogs and media outlets reach out to me just for like interviews. Beyond that, nobody's really reached out to me. Well, I take that back. I'm teaching a stop motion class to high school students next semester, and that will be a result of Indomation. Somebody watching that and saying, "Hey, I think you can teach students this skill." It'll be a positive and constructive way to learn and problem solve. I completely agree. So yeah, some people reach out to me, not to the degree that I want, but I also don't anticipate or expect anybody to reach out to me. I'm one of literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people trying to be in the stop motion game and make films and excel at that to the point where they get paid to do it. So right now, like I said, I'm just doing this because I love it with hopes and aspirations of going further. But yeah, with Indomation, I made some connections there. So yeah. I'm literally going to watch Indomation after the stream for the 4th time. Hey, well, great. I'm glad you liked it. That makes me happy. It was a lot of fun to watch. All right. Let's see here. This is not helpful. Well, let's see here. I should probably move this. Anything you guys want to see? I have this thing on a string so I can move it around and show different things. See, I'm going to put it right here for now. All right. Well, I think that might be it. What was your last question, Epic City Builders? Would the quality of a 12 megapixel be much different than the 32 when it comes to animation? I think you said that actually movie might not look much different once finished. Okay, yeah. So let me explain. The megapixel sensor animation video photo thing. I think I have. Maybe I'll be able to animate it. Maybe I'll be able to explain it on paper. 1 second. Window. I'll be right back. 1 second. Okay, so I hopefully you can hear me. The question is megapixels. Can you read that? What if I turn this off? Let's see here. Best situation for you to read. There we go. You'll be able to see that. Megapixels. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out lighting and stuff on the fly. Ooh, that's a little much. Okay, that's what we're gonna do right there. Yeah, I've seen Barnaby Dixon's channel. He's awesome. I love he was on Tested, I think, Adam Savage's channel, along with a whole bunch of other things. I think he's in Britain or something like that, or in Europe, and yeah, his stuff is awesome. So yeah, Barnaby Dixon's great. Definitely not stop motion, obviously, but his puppets are inspiring for sure, and I love watching him fabricate some of his puppets. It's pretty cool. So megapixels. So we have. So whenever you are taking a photo, this is a camera sensor. Camera sensor. Let's see here. This one? Let's say it's 9,000 by 6,000, right? Again, trying to make it to where you can see this. So let's say that this is a camera sensor, and it's 9,000 by 6,000, which would equal about I don't actually know what the what this is going to be. This is just an example for the illustrative purposes. Let's say 9,000 by 6,000 is going to be a at a 24 megapixel image. Okay. And let's say this is 24 megapixels. Let's say this is the The camera is the Canon 5D Mark III. Okay, so this is a really expensive camera. It's 24 megapixel sensor, and the sensor is 9,000. You get the image the image size is 9,000 by 6,000 pixels. Okay, well, you can get an iPhone. Let's get the old, or you can get this T4i even. That is, let's say it's 16. T4i. Let's say it's smaller, and let's say it's 4,000, 4 by 6. Okay, and then this is the sensor again. So this is a separate sensor, separate camera. This is a cheaper camera. Cheaper camera. T4i, that's a type of camera. And this is a $2,000 camera. This is a $200 camera. Okay, all that to say, what was presumably a bad video camera, bad photo camera for the most part, and what's presumably a bad video camera but a really good stills camera. So this camera, the T4i, the video inside of it is 1080p, which is HD, but it's not 4K, so it's not super high definition, but it is high definition. This camera is also 1080 HD, and so the reason that is that even though this is a better sensor than this camera, video, it's not just about having a better sensor, but it's the ability to use the sensor quickly, because video is essentially a sequence of images taken over and over and over again really fast, whether it's 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, 60, 120. There's a computer inside the camera that has to be strong enough to do that with the sensor. Now, the thing is, with still photography, and with stop motion specifically, you're not taking photos really quickly. You're taking one photo, and then you're doing a movement, and then taking another photo. So again, what that allows you to do is take advantage of where on this camera, the $2,000 camera, if you're doing video, it's only going to be using this much of the sensor to be 1080, right? And that is the same size as 1080 on this sensor. Does that make sense? Maybe. But what using photos and stop motion animation allows you to do is take advantage of the entire sensor. So that way you can use a collection of 6K photos for as fast as you're animating. So you're now not just using a scaled down version of the sensor, you're using the entire sensor, which is a much bigger file than what the camera defaults to inside, to eventually make it into a video sequence. And so the videos that you get, like, again, we go back here and look at this. This was done with a T4i, really crappy, like typically crappy camera, but it's super high definition. This is actually zoomed in probably 30%, and it's still very high quality. Now it's 1080 right now because I exported the image sequence at 1080. But if I wanted to, I can zoom in another 30% without losing any image quality, still exporting at 1080. Now that's really confusing, but basically, I'm going to go back here. Again, basically looking at this, you have, again, really expensive camera. And again, typically the more expensive a camera is, well, this is a huge sweeping statement that's not always true. But really expensive camera, big sensor, medium-sized sensor, prosumer or whatever, and then now you have phones that are really cheap, right? But the thing is, all these sensors, for the most part, are still using the same size of video. And so again, as you use a phone, you can still use up more of the phone sensor that you can with like a really expensive camera, because again, you're using the stills to make the video, not the video processing abilities of the camera. So that's great for a lot of like young filmmakers that only have iPhones or only have cheap cameras, because you can still have really good quality images with not super expensive gear and your iPhone. You look at, there's a guy, there's a Instagram account, Frantic Frames. I'm pretty sure he uses his iPhone for all of his stop motion, or at least the behind the scenes things that I've seen. He's using his iPhone, and his stuff looks awesome. And the good thing also about that is that you focus more on the animation and the story that you're telling, and not so much the gear. This is really helpful. This is an example of this film that I'm working on now with the Mandalorian character. This is a great example of why the exception to what I just said about the good thing about not worrying about gear. You can worry about gear so long as it's used to help tell the story. I'm trying to get certain frames from certain angles, certain types of shots that are medium, close up, wide, and I literally can't focus as close as I need to get the shot unless I have a macro lens. So this is an example of why it's actually good right now that I have, even though it's a cheap camera, a camera that has an interchangeable lens system, so I can get those that variety of shot that I'm looking for. But for the most part, you can animate with your iPhone. I mean, the camera, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Coraline was shot with a 5D Mark III, which is a very good camera, but it's a camera that's accessible to a lot of people now, and that was a feature film. So, it's all relative. Don't let gear stop you. Don't let gear stop you. Sweet. So I can use the iPhone for stop motion, and then the Android for thumbnails. yeah. You can use the iPhone for thumbnails if you want. But yeah, you can totally use your iPhone. I would suggest doing that. That'd be great. And let me know. Message me on Instagram or tag me or something. I'd love to see what you make with it. That'd be cool. You're welcome. You're welcome, Epic City Builders. Epic City Builders, I'm seeing that your little icon, your YouTube icon, is a Lego. Do you animate with Legos? That's something I've wanted to do. Oh, yes, very cool. Well, I'm going to check out your channel after this. Very cool. We're going to go back to this. I think I'm going to wrap up. Soon. Thanks for watching. This was a lot of fun. This is the first stream I've actually done where I focused on talking to people. So forgive me that it wasn't super constructive or well put together, but it was a lot of fun for me. I got a video coming out about how I made this camera, this wooden camera for my daughter. The Mandalorian stop motion video, that's coming soon. Should be a lot of fun. And let's see here. What else do I have coming up? That's basically it. Not streaming next Monday because I'm teaching a class and I will be focusing on animation. So yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Epic City Builders, I'm glad that you have friends that would love the stream. Thanks for watching and being part of the stream. And I will be back another time. I will leave you with my test footage of The Mandalorian. Get hyped. It's going to be cool. Here it is. I'll let it play a couple times. Thanks so much for watching.